G'day everybody, welcome back to Paddlecast Quarantine Edition. Although this isn't actually a quarantine edition because I had a guest here today with me in the studio. And that guest is Benny Tardrew, the head designer of One Ocean Sports and the man responsible for some of the coolest raceboard designs and increasingly foil board designs. Benny works here in the House of One, which is the home of the Sup Racer podcast studio. Benny works in his workshop about 10 meters out that way. So I get to see Benny every day. He's a fascinating guy. He's an ocean master in many different sports. And I just wanted to share his insights and expertise and his stories with you guys in the paddling community. I would love to share what they're working on behind the scenes here at One, the new foil innovations. I can't say any more. I definitely can't show you anymore, but what I get to see behind the scenes every day here is very exciting. So watch this space. Anyway, I hope you enjoy today's chat with Benny Tardrew. He's an absolute gun on, these days on a foil board. And so I asked him for some tips about how to foil downwind because I have become addicted to foil surfing in the past couple of months. And I think the final frontier is foil downwinding. That is next level, but I can't do it yet. I tried and I failed miserably, so I got to work on that. Anyway, I hope you enjoy today's episode. I hope you enjoy all the episodes of Paddlecast that are almost daily. I missed 1 or 2 episodes this week, and there's a very good reason for that. I was busy building a marble racetrack. That's right, we're starting Marble Racer to make up for the fact that we're missing all these big international races. We're going to recreate them with marbles. My dad is building a racetrack that I can only describe as a work of art. He's a very clever man, and he's come up with this. Basically, it's a marble Formula One track. They go around the track, they go on an escalator back up to the start and loop around on the laps. So we're going to have some fun with that. I'm painting up all these different marbles with the names of the famous paddlers, and they're going to go around this track, and we're going to actually recreate with a live stream and with commentary all the big races. The Marble Liner Cup, I think will be the first one, the 12 Marbles, the Air France Marble Festival, Marble Kai to Oahu, just any international event where I can come up with a ridiculous marble-related pun is going to be on the Marble Racer World Tour. And actually, if you join Club Sup Racer, which is a new club I'm starting this week to help fund the creative work of Sup Racer, I'm calling it Club Sup Racer, a very original name. It took me a while to come up with that one. Anyway, Club Sup Racer is basically just a fancy name for my Patreon page. And Patreon is a way for you to be able to fund or help fund the creative work of artists. And I use that term very loosely when referring to myself, but Patreon's a really cool platform, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity, as a way to motivate me to give back more to you guys in the community and as a way to help fund the creative work of Sup Racer. So basically, if you just want to pledge a couple of bucks a week or a month, you can, help keep Sup Racer going, help these daily podcasts, help the world rankings, when the season does return, help me with all the news and the stories. Everything Sup Racer produces, you'll be helping fund that. Anyway, there's going to be a few members-only benefits, a few bribes for joining the club. You'll get early access to every episode of Paddlecast. You'll be the first to hear every episode. There's going to be monthly sweepstakes, prize drawing. I've gotten some cool prizes from some of the brands. The first month, actually, QuickBlade has agreed to give away $1,000 in discount coupons. And I'm going to chop them up into like $100 at a time. We're going to call them Quick Bucks. And basically, I'm just going to try and get some cool prizes every month from the brands and give out enough prizes that eventually, hopefully, every member that signs up for Club Sup Racer will eventually win something. But the coolest benefit, the coolest bribe, by far, in my opinion, is that you can actually join the Marble Racer World Tour. If you're a member of Club Sup Racer, we're going to do special members-only races. And I'm going to live stream them as well. I'm obsessed with marbles at the moment. Don't ask. I'm going to give you your own marble with your name on it or whatever team name you want. And I'm going to send you around the track with a couple of the other pros and all the other members in Club Sup Racer. And I'm going to live stream that actual race. And the top finishers in that race will qualify into the next round of the Marble Racer World Tour. It is as silly as it sounds, folks. And it's even more fun. We did a few test runs this morning and man, there's something about it. I think marble racing is the new thing. We don't need to go back to all those other sports that we're missing at the moment. Marble racing fills the hole for everything. Definitely for Sup Racing, or at least that's the plan. Anyway, it's just going to be a little bit of silly fun, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you join Club Sup Racer, you'll be able to enjoy it even more. Okay, this is a long rambling intro. Let's end it there. Shut up, Sup Racer. Go to bed. Here he is, Benny Tardrew from One Ocean Sports. Welcome to Paddlecast.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Non-quarantine edition.
That's right. Yep. Here together where we're most days.
Yeah.
In the same building.
You've had to travel all about 10 meters to join me here in the studio. Thanks for making the effort, mate.
That's all right. It's taken a while to get me in here, but it's been tough.
Had to get through all those VIPs.
Yeah, that's it.
You know how it is.
Get the important people down first.
Yeah. And then I ran out of guests.
That's right. Yeah, well, desperate times. So
Yep.
here we are.
Yeah.
good.
I'm scraping the barrel.
Yep.
No, I'm excited to chat with you for a number of reasons. For one, we have Paddlecast episodes together every week, just informally, when we're talking shit out there in the
Yeah, well,
bay.
less paddle, more shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talk. Yeah.
Luckily, those aren't being recorded, but what I wanted to share with everyone today was some of your insights, because you're the man. You're the man that makes the magic shapes for One Ocean Sports. You've made probably the funkiest looking race board in the world, which we want to talk about in a minute, the rocket ship.
Yep.
The Edge Pro 2.0, but I also want to chat with you about foiling. Can you teach me how to foil a bit better? I'm getting there, but
you know how long it's taken us to get together to have this talk, so to time ourselves on the water at the same time, that's probably easier. We've managed a few times. Yeah, I think you're going pretty good. Little bit further, and we'll be downwinding. You'll be laughing.
I don't want to repeat my 12 hours effort, where I took about an hour to paddle 5Ks.
More training, less red wine, Chris.
Yeah,
best.
I got to get stuck into this Chinese tea.
Yeah, that's it. More of that, more running and stuff, and your heart won't blow up every time you try to pump it up on a bump.
Why is it so hard to get downwinding happening? Because I can do the waves now on the foil.
Yeah,
pretty like half decent, respectable. Yeah. Let's say the downwinding, I got no chance.
Yeah, well, you've grown up around here in the surf. You know what it's like when you see a wave coming that you can catch. So it's pretty easy to say, oh, this wave, I'll paddle onto this, and away you go. So downwind, the waves don't have the same power, really. Like, you can't catch it as it's breaking, not all the time. It just takes a lot more push to get the thing on the foil, and technique as well. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and soon you'll be downwinding in 10, 15 knots.
How long have you been doing it? And did you have to struggle in the beginning as well?
Yeah. The first year, I went to Hood River to paddle a race board there. It was probably only 2 years ago, maybe. To paddle a race board and go see some guys in Canada. And while I was there was a few foils laying around. So I spent half the week on the race board, half on the foil. And by the end of the week, I foiled that run. But my first one and I had Jake and Jacko sort of giving me some pointers, so because they did it a bit before me. So yeah, after a week there, I could say I could downwind foil, but definitely at that stage I was reasonably fit.
What's the secret? How do you downwind foil? How come I can't do it?
I've tried. You'll get it. I think definitely downwinding in general, if you're good at that, it helps. Like if you look at the people that do it and pick it up quick. I think when I was there last night, I think Fiona was picking it up as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And obviously guys like Jake, who we haven't seen for a while. But
so how are you paddling into a wave out in the ocean?
Well, you just feel the energy when it comes, the right bump. Obviously, when you're doing a foil race, you want to get up pretty quick, but you get that bump. Just give it all you got. Pump. It's kind of similar to ollieing a skateboard, sort of.
Yeah.
But I mean, every wing's different. I've tried a lot of different wings, so some of them a bit more front foot, some a bit more back.
What's the theory? How does foiling work? Because I don't even know how these things work. We brought in a couple of props, a bit of show and tell. Well, it's a visual episode, folks. Jump on YouTube.
I mean, it's just like flying. It's just like an airplane. So you got a front wing, a rear wing.
What's the front? Pick up the big wing. What's this thing actually doing? Is this lifting us up?
Yes. So basically, you've got the top side.
Show it a bit higher, Benny.
Where's it
for the folks at home?
It's pretty hard to see anything. This thing's been laying on my floor for about a year now.
Was this a custom prototype?
No, it's just one I built myself. I've built a few now. Basically the shape of the foil, it's like an aeroplane wing. It's like a sail. I don't think you can see that at all. You can see the profile, I guess.
So the front wing's lifting you up and the back wing's keeping you down?
Yeah, so the back wing is opposite force, but it balances it out. Also, the trimming the angle of the back wing adjusts the... So if you want a bit more front foot pressure, you can adjust it to push the front up. So you have to push more. It's like a rudder on a plane.
Yeah.
So is this there? So if you do that with the back, it's going to want to push the nose of the board up. and the opposite.
Yeah.
So, but the more you have to angle it, the more compromise you have in speed. It's like everything, same as board design, everything's a compromise. So,
It's only been, we were talking about this earlier today, right? Kai did that famous video 4 years ago this week.
Yeah, right.
His famous Maliko video where he was on that 10.6 chopped up Nash race board, and everyone's like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah.
So it's been 4 years only for this whole sport.
Yeah.
And
I remember that, and I didn't
quick.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of it at the time. I just thought that looks weird. And looking about it now, it really is weird. I don't know how probably Kai can do it, but there's no way I could downwind a 10.6. Like if it's 7 foot, I struggle. So
isn't that weird how quickly the board's changed?
Yeah. Well, I think the board I learnt on was maybe 7 foot, but like I did maybe 1 or 2 runs, and I was like, this thing's too big. As long as you've got a reasonable amount of strength, you can paddle something pretty small up on the foil.
Yeah.
Just obviously depends on the design of the board and everything, but...
Well, those little prone boards are like boogie boards these days.
Yeah, they're just little squares, a lot of them. Yeah. So, they got a lot of... For the size of the board, they've got a lot of lift. And for a 5 foot board or 4 foot whatever, they've got a lot of surface area. So they float higher than you. So a 4 foot foil board will float as high as like a 6 foot surfboard,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought foiling was pretty silly when I first saw it. I thought SUP was pretty silly when I first saw it.
Yeah,
I thought that's never going to take off.
Yeah, same.
And now look, all I do is talk about SUP all day. So.
Yeah. Well, my brother did it before me, and I thought he was just... It's like, what are you doing, man? Let's go windsurfing. And like it would get windy, he'd go for a downwind, and he'd paddle past me, and I'd be out windsurfing. I'm like, you're an idiot, man. And I'd sail around him on my windsurfer, and I don't know, kind of missed him windsurfing, so I started hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You boys have always been in the ocean, huh? Weren't you and your brother? Was your brother your sailing partner?
He was, but yeah, it started way before that. When I was maybe 9, grade 6 or year 7 or something, my parents sold our house and they bought a boat. So we lived on a boat for a year.
Yeah.
So that was, obviously we were close. We had no choice. We fought a lot, but I think that year of our life really, I guess, molded us into people we came,
And ocean-loving people.
Obsessed, yeah. I remember we'd be, like the boat Dad bought, because my old man's a big influence. He's grown up building his own boats and on the ocean. And he built this boat that we cruised on. It was actually like an old racing boat, so it sailed quite well.
Yeah.
And we were just obsessed. Like, can we make it go faster? Can we make it? And it was just my dad, my mum, and me and my brother on this big boat. I remember I'd just sit there looking at the speed thing. It's got like a speedo. I remember one day we hit like 18 knots or something. It's like, that's the top speed for the year. And Dad'd like, oh, we need to slow down. It's just the 4 of us on here. It's getting a bit hectic. Yeah, I was obsessed.
When did you start racing? Didn't you guys, you almost were in the Olympics, or you're in like the Olympic training?
Yeah. So
what's the story?
The way it works with sailing is every country basically has one representative. So we raced the 49er class, which is a skiff, and we were second Australian for the Athens Games. I think at the time I was 19 or 20. For sailing, I was super young. And probably the next 8 years would have been good for me, but I got just sick of it. Always travelling. Like, it sounds bad, like, I had to spend 6 months in Europe or whatever. Like, I know it's your dream. But for me, it's always competing. It's not like I'm looking at things. And as an 18-year-old or 19-year-old, I didn't even care. Like, I drove past the Leaning Tower of Pizza and I was like, what is that? Let's just get to where we have to get to, So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we stopped after that, but we did the test Olympics. So we went to Athens and did, basically they do an Olympics before the Olympics. Yeah. So that was cool as a kid. So that was fun. And then... so
you were a very good sailor, basically?
Yeah, did all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was sort of stopped shortly after that.
I think the first time I heard your name was it the King of the Cut? Or the
Maybe.
Doctor? About 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But you won in one of the WA races or something like that. You're up there.
Yeah.
I was like, who's this guy? Who are the Tardrew brothers?
Yeah, I think the second King of the Cut I won. I think the first one, my brother won. But I could be wrong. Could be the other way around. We didn't. I mean, for us, it was just like going for a paddle any other day. Like, I lived there. But I think one day I got to do it and I went home with $1,000. So it was a bonus. It's like, look what I got. Well, I was paddling today. So I think we sort of toed and froed every year for a while there. You know, and then all the guys from over here came over that trained every day and stuff. And I'm like, what is this? And actually, that's how I sort of became friends with Bo. He was the first guy from over here to come. And the year he came was probably still as good as it's ever been. I remember we were racing 14-foot boards, and we averaged like 14.5 Ks per hour, which on a 14-foot, especially for a guy that's, you know, I just downwind for fun. And Bo was really good at it. And he wasn't that far ahead of me just because the bumps were so good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was just frothing. He was like, this is the best thing. I'm coming back every year.
Is that the best? Is it the best downwinder in Australia? King of the Cut?
I would say so, yeah. I don't think I'm biased. Like, I live literally at the start line I used to. So, yeah, I did it most nights through the summer and didn't really get bored of it.
It's better than the Gold Coast runs?
Yeah, I think so. The Gold Coast in the southeast is good, and it's fun and reasonably easy. Like, you get that wind bump and not a lot of swell. I mean, the WA run's so windy, just the wind swell gets big.
Yeah.
But also, it's just consistent as well. So, it's probably the closest we get to it over here is a nice northerly down south, like Kingscliff, where you get those nice northerly swells, especially on the foil, because you want those nice ocean swells.
What's the how's it compared to the gorge? How would you compare WA West Isles to the gorge?
I prefer it, but the gorge is definitely. I reckon it's a great place to go downwinding. Like, if you go with people that are a bit newer to downwinding, the bumps are, you know, you can pretty much choose your own track down that run. You can stay in small bumps all the way if you want. WA is pretty wild. It's like the other side of Australia. I think it's the most isolated city in the world. Perth. I think that's a fact.
It is the middle of nowhere, Western Australia.
Yeah.
You got to cross a desert to get there.
Yeah. So it's wild, and it's you know, there's lots of stories about big sharks and all that stuff over there, but just in general, it's it's the ocean, and the gorge is, well, it's a river. You know, everything's running in one direction. So
yeah,
for me, especially on the foil, the King of the Cut is a nicer place to foil.
Yeah.
Just bigger, longer, drawn-out bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the plan with foiling for you? You're making foils now.
I
can't talk too much about the secret recipes that have been cooked up in that back room, but
yeah. Well, I've made a whole bunch of foils for myself to play around with, and yeah, I'm not keen to release anything till it's better than stuff that I've been using, and I've used pretty much everything now.
Yeah.
And yeah, getting towards a stage where I'm pretty confident that I've got something that's probably as good as foil that I've used. So
all right,
I can't say too much.
Space.
Yeah.
There's going to be an interesting announcement soon from the boys.
At some point, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
It's been an arms race in foiling. Like we're saying, Kai's thing was 4 years ago. It's progressed so much.
Yeah. Well, the stock wings probably over the year. I mean, GoFoil probably have put out a few wings, and you see Jimmy with some custom wings. He had some over in Perth when we were over there. But, I mean, the unifoil, signature foil's been the same for quite a while. But, yeah, I mean, everyone says that, but the stock foils haven't really gone that crazy. But I'm sure there's lots of guys on custom wings. And obviously, yeah, I use stuff that I make for myself.
How much is it? How much is the equipment and the rider at the moment? Like if you look at results from the, say like Molokai or Gorge race or something, how much do you just have to be on the latest wing? And
for sure you need to have the best. Well, I mean, there's obviously a crossover point somewhere there. Like I could have a better wing than all these young kids and they'll still beat me. Yeah. You know, they're going to pump all day long. And, you know, there's like I'll downwind with someone on the same wing and we're never going to hit the beach at the same time. So you got to choose your course. But for sure, there's no way you could like the wings I started downwinding on or the wings you're on now that you're learning on. There's no way, no matter how good you are, you could keep up with me on like something like this, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's obviously it matters a lot, but there's also a crossover point where there's going to be a guy that's on a slightly slower wing that can keep up with someone if they've got the skills.
Is it more important than in race boards?
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Because you can sit on bumps and literally stand there. And if you've got an efficient, fast wing, you can just be, well, flying.
How do How would you describe the feeling of foiling to someone that has no idea what it is?
I don't know. I don't know. People are much better at describing it than me.
Do you feel like you're flying?
I think
Is it a Zen-like experience for you?
Nah,
Does
because my brain's
God
always
come down
ticking.
from the clouds when you're out downwinding and
I'm
tell you
always
the
thinking
meaning of
about
life?
something to improve when I'm doing it, mostly. So it's not that peaceful.
Are you going the whole run without dropping? Like, do you
Yeah.
guys get up at the start and then you drop down an hour later?
Yeah, however long the run is. Yeah, unless we have it crash, but generally,
So
generally
you're
these
up for
days,
an hour.
yeah, an hour. We've done a few runs longer than that. So the guys that did Molokai would have been, they were 2 hours or something, weren't they?
How does it work with your legs? I do one pump at the alley for 10 seconds and I'm
Yeah.
exhausted.
But me too. Like I pump around the alley a few times and I'd sit down and have a little breather. But
Yeah.
downwind, you can be efficient. You know, you can sit on the little bumps and just stall. You can sit on big bumps and just relax.
So you're not just pumping for an hour.
No.
You're gliding.
Well, I'm sure, there's going to be kids that can do short races and just keep pumping, and that's what I mean. Like they'll beat the guy that's not as fit on the same wing. But yeah, like in Perth, the King of the Cut race, when I finished that, I was good to go again because
Yeah.
it wasn't that windy. The bumps were small, so you pretty much stalled on them, and then there was gaps where you pump through and stall, go again. But the same thing again. It'd be kids that just keep pumping over every bump they see. So,
Those kids in Hawaii, the Maui kids, are freaks. Like what
I'm sure
the
they are.
Spencers and
Yeah.
Kai and everyone are doing at Hukipa.
yeah, well, I mean, as you know, I've got little kids, so I don't get to go overseas much. But I'm sure like those kids in small little bumps would be just about untouchable.
Yeah.
Like Hood River, where you take off in little bumps, and like if you sit on those bumps, you're going slow. You need to be passing those bumps.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the ocean is better for foiling. Like you can get on big bumps and be doing 30 Ks plus. So
What's the taking it back to your old days on the sailboat, looking at the speedo? What can we top out on a foil these days, and where could we go in a few years?
well, we get over 30.
Can we do sail GP speeds? Didn't those boys hit 50 knots on the big?
50 knots? That's pretty quick. The problem is if you're going 50 knots, you got to get that wing up in the air to start with. So obviously your wing to pump up, you have to have some surface area, and it's all a trade-off. So yeah,
The bigger the wing, the easier to get up and the slower it goes. Basically.
generally, yeah. I mean, there's obviously, yeah, but as a general rule, yeah.
So you need like just a needle thin wing to be doing super speeds, but you're never going to
Yeah,
get
well,
it up.
I mean, if you get towed in on a foil,
Yeah.
like back in the day when they were towing into Jaws and all that, they would have some pretty crazy speeds, I assume. But
Yeah.
their foils were like, can you see that? This
higher.
big, this big.
That was the width of the wings.
Foils, their front wings were like this big, which is like a back wing.
Is this like the Laird Hamilton days
Yeah. But they'd
Yeah,
get whipped
right.
into big swells and
with the moon boots,
yeah.
the snowboard
Yeah.
bindings?
I assume they went pretty quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are we topping out at now? What can you boys do out there on the
I think maybe 35. To be honest, I don't really look. I look more at the average and heart rate to see how sort of the wing's working. But because the top speed's hard because we always got a bit of current and stuff going. But I think around about 35 downwind.
We'll compare it to a 14-footer. What's the speed difference? Is it 2 times, 3 times? What is it?
Yeah. So what do we do? 20. Yeah, it's about double. Yeah. So Jimmy, I think at King of the Cut, what was he doing? He averaged like 15. But like he's as good an unlimited paddler in the world, really. Yeah, and we sort of averaged a bit over 20.
So you're going 50% faster than an unlimited being paddled by the best.
Not in that circumstance. Maybe in big open ocean with swells, but compared to your average punter who's doing say 10 Ks an hour downwind, you'd be doing over double. Like if you're doing 20 Ks an hour downwind on a foil, that's a very slow run.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 3 minutes.
So when I was doing 5K an hour,
Yeah, so a 3 minute kilometres, that's sort of like the bottom end of the wings, much slower, and it becomes hard because you've got to keep the thing up.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you're foiling in light winds doing over 3 minute Ks, it's like, oh, my legs, But then as you start getting under 3, it starts getting easier. And you actually find it, like once you're under 230s on the big swells, it's actually not that hard on your legs because you're sitting on big, long swells and
Yeah.
it's quite good. That's when it's fun.
How do you design something that's so new? What's the philosophy? Because it's kind of like, it's almost, I mean, they've been around for years on boats and everything, but it's kind of a blank canvas for you guys.
Yeah, well, for me, it's not totally. I used to design sailboats, like racing sails.
Yeah.
And a sail is basically a foil.
In what? How so?
So they're designed the same way. So even on the program, it's very similar.
Yeah.
So I had a similar. Like I had to learn a different program for foils and boards, but the actual actually looked pretty similar. Like it was a long time ago that I did it. And the difference with sails is you have a mast holding it, like the sail sits in, and the mast flexes, so you can control. You control the foil shape. You can bring the apex of the foil forward and back with ropes and pulleys. Stuff. It's like stereotype sailing things. Like ropes. You can adjust the curve, so you can make the sail have more lift, less lift.
Are we talking about what kind
sails
of boats?
the sails in the air. So if you want a more powerful sail in the air, not a foil.
Yeah.
You make the foil deeper. So a flat foil that we foil on a SUP has less lift, but it's faster. So as you're sailing a boat, you flatten the sail with the controls that you have. And a foil is similar. So basically the best foil is similar to the best sail. You want a foil with the best range. So a good bottom end that you can get up and go slow on.
Yeah.
You think, why would you want to go slow? But you need to go slow at some point. Otherwise, whenever you hit a shitty section, you're just going to be, cooking yourself. But
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but you also need high-end speed as well.
So you're saying that you can use the same basic principles on a sail in the air and a foil in the water?
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
I don't have a pen and paper, but the benefit of a sail in the air is you have a lot more control over the shape.
My little podcast notepad over here.
Why not? I haven't drawn a
sail
for about 20 years. So this is the mast.
So how long have you been working on the foils?
Let me a minute. I'm concentrating. Dead air. Probably a couple of years I've been building my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's...
Show us your work of art. Go on.
I keep forgetting that. So basically...
This camera here.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah, we can't hear you now. Talking to the mic.
So that's like a deep sail, yeah? So if you're going sailing, there's not much wind, you shut. The top one is the deep one. Powerful. So that's like a deep... So if you just draw a straight line along the bottom there, you got what looks like a foil. But a deep draft forward sail is very forgiving and very good in light winds because it's powerful. But if it gets windy and you got that sail, it's just going to be flapping in the wind. It's just drag. So you flatten it out. So there's less drag. You go faster. But obviously you got the wind for power. We still got to paddle our foils into the air.
So give us the layman's terms. What are the forces at work? When you're up and foiling, how does it keep going? And when you pump, why does it keep going?
Basically, the easiest way is the pressure accelerates over the curve, creating less pressure above
Hold
the
that
wing.
thing up for us.
So it accelerates over the top of the wing.
Yeah.
Because it's curved. So basically, the bigger the curve on top and the flatter the bottom, the more lift.
Yeah.
Because there's less pressure on top.
So how do you draw? Where's the line, or is that just how you guys experiment with designing? Like, how do you know the curvature? The curvature of a foil. Why do you not just have a giant dome and a dead flat bottom?
Because then it's more drag. So sure, yeah, there's positives for that. Like it would have a lot of lift, but then if you've just got a flat bottom and a huge dome, firstly you're going to have this point at the front, which the water's going to hit and it's not going to want to flow. Yeah. So you have turbulence straight away. Like I should say, I don't work for NASA or anything. This is all just, I haven't even studied anything. This is just time on the water and time in sailing, and it's basically just my life's learnings really, and it seems to work all right and also I should say my dad again. He designs and builds his own planes, model planes. So he's been a bit of a springboard for me while I've been playing around.
What's have we reached the end of history with SUP foils and prone foils? Like, are they going to stay relatively similar and just have little tweaks here and
Nah.
there? Or are we going to do some radical innovation?
Yeah, we got some ways to go. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think...
Where is the innovation going to come from?
It would be great if we could adjust them somehow.
On the fly?
And getting onto the foil to make it more... I mean, the hardest thing I find with people learning to downwind is getting them on the foil, you know? Like if you get anyone that can downwind well on the foil and comfortable, they'll probably be fine because they know where the power is in the bump and they know their way through the ocean. But getting them up on the foil is... without giving them a heart attack that's the key. So I think there's a lot of development to go for SUPs.
I know my heart's been pushing to its to the red line.
Yeah.
When I'm out there trying to pump around at the alley.
Yeah.
So what's the tell us about the on the fly. What could we possibly do? You mean change the shape or change the pitch? Like change the angle?
If we could change, or even if we could put some sort of rudders or something similar to an aeroplane.
Like the little flap ones at the back?
Yeah, at the back to give us a little bit more lift when we want it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tricky. I mean, we got to figure out a way to do that when we're standing on a foil. And obviously, guys like us that go supping and foiling and surfing, we're not millionaires. So we can't go to some tech company and say, I want a Bluetooth switch that controls my foil shape. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure F1 will be able to do that. Well, they do. They open their wings when they're on the straights.
Yeah.
They do 20 k's an hour quicker when they take away the drag, whatever. So I'm sure it's all possible, but it's the people with the funds, really. I mean, it's not necessarily a rocket science. It's just
we need some Red Bull money from Kai.
Yeah, well, maybe
get onto it, Lenny.
Yeah. But he doesn't. He'll probably paddle anything up. You saw him pumping up wind in that race.
Yeah, he's a freak.
He doesn't need it. Don't worry about it. Forget that. Forget we said anything.
What's your take on e-foils? Are they cool? Are they a bit of a wank?
I've never used one, so it's hard to comment. If people are having fun on it, I mean, what are they? $15,000?
They're not cheap. They're crazy. I think some of the good ones are like 20 grand Aussie.
Yeah,
like 12 grand US.
Pretty much everything I've put on the water that I use on the water, I try to make myself, and I'm not going to make one. So. I don't know. I mean, if people with a bit of money can have a bit of fun on a foil, go for it.
But is there like would there be a philosophical barrier for you? Like it's got to be a human powered?
Or would it sail powered, human powered? Yeah, I mean, it kind of takes a lot of intricacies out of the design and stuff when you can just power the thing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to be honest, I've never really thought that much about them.
I've tried it once. I tried it once in Spain, and it was damn good fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if the novelty would have worn off quick or not, but
I guess if you're like on Sardinia or Mallorca or something, it'd be pretty nice to have an e-foil.
It was on Mallorca, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could imagine.
You've been over there a few times, haven't you?
Yeah, we used to do a competition there once a year. That was good times.
That's my favourite place in Europe, Mallorca.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They got a bloody good paddling crew over there.
Yeah.
All of Spain's top juniors just about come from this one little club over there.
Yeah, right. Well, it's probably been 20 years. What am I? 40? 20 years since I've been there, so I don't think SUP existed when I was there.
No.
Just maybe.
When did SUP start? I should probably know the answer to that.
You should know. If anyone should know. Oh, you've seen those pictures floating around with a guy on an old bit of wood with a bamboo paddle or something.
There's the Peruvian guys were doing it 2,000 years ago.
Yeah,
Everyone gets very funny when you talk about the origins. It's like, wow, there's some guy in Peru paddled down a river in 1000 BC. Like, well, that's not what we call paddling.
A bit different.
Then there was the Waikiki Beach Boys in like the 60s or whatever. But it's basically when Laird started doing it.
We were surfing and
And
wasn't there a sticker that said blame Laird?
Oh yeah, I
short
think
borders.
that's still a trending hashtag for surfers that like to hate.
Yeah. I saw a sticker at the alley that said "Don't sup the lineup." I'm like, oh, we're still doing that. The problem is, I rock up at the beach and I got my shortboard, my sup, my foil. I'm like, oh, who's looking? What board should I get out?
I don't think there's any. Wrong person on the screen. There we go. It's hard to talk and press a button.
Yeah,
at
I
the same
could imagine.
time,
I couldn't
folks.
even draw that picture at the same time.
I don't think anyone shortboards the alley anymore. How can they complain? It's like either longboarders, stand-up paddlers, surf ski guys, and now every other person's taking their foil out the alley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you're a shortboarder, you're in the wrong spot.
The only time I shortboard the alley is if it's like 10 knots onshore and a decent swell and there's no one around.
Yeah.
And you have a bit of fun. But yeah, it's
become a mecca.
yeah,
That's the gathering spot. There's
foils and
foils.
longboarders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the same with SUP in the early days. All the SUPs would congregate at the alley.
Well, it's a great spot.
Oh,
Hard to park there at the moment. It's difficult.
yeah. We're lucky over here. I was
Super
chatting
lucky.
with Nico. Speaking of one.
Oh, in Italy.
It's the one weekend.
Yeah.
We had Nico yesterday from One SUP Italy.
Because they're shut down, yeah.
They're full shut down. He hadn't left his apartment in 45 days. And then he was allowed to go down to the beach because he runs a beach club.
Yep.
And he wasn't allowed to go in the water. And he said it looked so surreal because it was a perfect day and nothing, like no one was in the ocean. There's no boats. There's nothing allowed out there. So it's just this empty playground and you're not allowed to touch it.
And he's got some energy too, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Imagine him cooped up in an
just
apartment
goes,
for 45 days.
Yeah, it's rough, eh? Yeah, it's
So we're lucky over here.
we're super lucky. Like I still take my kids to the creek, take my son to the beach and push him on some waves if I can find a car park. Car parks are closed, but just got to walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't complain.
Speaking of not complaining, I was not complaining at the 11 City Tour last year.
Segway.
Oh, do you like that?
Yeah, it's flash.
Joe Rogan, eat your heart out, buddy. I was pretty happy at the 11 City Tour last year because I got to test out. I was one of the first guys who got to ride the rocket ship,
Yeah, I think
officially known as the Edge Pro 2.0.
I think me and Kenny paddled it, and then you.
Yeah.
Not even Jacko, I don't think.
Wow. That was a quick drop off in skill. Kenny, Benny, and then me.
Yeah. Oh, you did all right.
I got some good photos with it. It's the main thing.
Yeah. See it.
But speaking of the photos, I want to bring it up for those that don't know what we're talking about. It's the Edge Pro 2.0 from One Ocean Sports. It's the craziest looking race board. Tell us, because this is your design.
Yeah.
What's the theory on this? Because it works. It works amazingly well. But why does it work?
To me, it kind of just seems practical. Like we always know, a pointy nose and a pointy tail, round, soft edges is a board that's going to glide.
What's the theory on that? What's that cutaway at the end there? How it just kind of cuts back at the tail?
To be honest, the cutaway, I could have just about gone without it. But Jacko's like, people like to kick turn, you know.
So that was just for turning. That's
So when you stand back, the whole that goes underwater, and all of a sudden you have a couple of inches extra stability, and around you go. Whereas I don't. I just wanted to make this board as fast as possible in the flat, nothing else, no kick turn, nothing. Jacko's like, why don't? And it's it's good to work for One because Jacko lets me kind of do whatever I want, and if I have a crazy idea and he has a crazy idea, let's just try it. So, yeah, and, luckily it worked. It wasn't a waste of money. So basically the idea is to go really fast and not have the drag of a square tail.
So it's kind of like a canoe on the bottom.
Yeah, it's just like a ski, outrigger. It's like all the fastest craft you paddle in flat water. It's basically like that, really.
What were you looking at for your inspiration for this? Were you looking at other craft? Was there, because there's not much in SUP to really.
Nah, just looking. Well, most downwind boards have a pin tail, and you can feel the benefits of that tail when you're downwind and the glide, and also the forgiveness. Like the pin tail and a pin nose is kind of like, I call it like suspension. So there's not much surface area when you hit bumps.
Yeah.
So when you go, also like this board's incredible into small bumps because you paddle into like 1 foot of chop and you really don't feel it because the nose hits the chop and wants to push the tail in. There's no resistance at the tail because there's no surface area. So the board just keeps going forward. So as far as boards that I've designed, it's probably been, I'm not a big flat water junkie, but it's been super satisfying.
You're not a big flat water junkie. I got a photo up here, Benny.
Yeah.
You boys paddling 100 Ks on the flat water.
Yeah, I did that. That was a mental challenge for me more so than like I wasn't going out for fun. And, I'm good friends with Steve-O and we had a good time.
That's like the Aussie 11 cities. Tell us about this race because I just heard from the organizer it's still on for this year. It's in October.
Yeah, right.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think he tried to call me the other day. I should call him back. But it's basically it's not quite the 11 cities. It's 3 days. It's 42 or 43 Ks for the first day. I think it was 45 for the second, and then 28 or something for the last. So it's decent. It's it's further than I've ever paddled in a flat, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed the pain a little bit.
So you coming to 11 cities next?
Oh, I'd love to do it, but it's hard for me to leave the family for that amount of time.
Yeah,
as you know.
Would you seriously love to do the 11 cities?
Yeah.
Why?
I'd do anything. Like if I was just cruising around on my own with money to spare, I'd go do it.
Yeah. Let's get you over there on a one R&D mission.
Yeah, maybe I'll try and get a 20-foot flat water board or something with a rudder.
What could there you
I've seen those
your
guys.
blue baby.
Yeah, that's beautiful, that board. I finally got a graphic that I liked. Normally Angie does my graphics. So I get like a pink, orange and green board or something. I said I want a glossy blue board with silver stripes.
Baby blue.
Yep.
What's the final frontier? Are there any final frontiers in raceboard design? Like, can we go anywhere else?
Well, for us, that's probably been as big a step forward in a board over the last 3 or 4 years for us.
I think for anyone.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that.
I'll say it. I'll say it for you.
I mean, I've paddled square tail flat water boards, and yeah, it doesn't compare. Like I've got a board that I had before that, which is a prototype that was kind of like the traditional square tail, super easy to kick turn, crazy stable, and you can paddle like you have a 20-inch wide board, it's still stable. But at some point, this board's getting deeper and deeper in the water because it's getting so skinny, you know.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's just create a really fast hull shape and make it whatever width we have to make. So now I got the 21.5, which is that blue one. But Jacko loves the 23.5. It's a lot more stabler, and it's as fast as any 21 board we've paddled.
Yeah.
Just because the shape's just better. Like it's easy to get caught up in saying I want a skinny board, and I do the odd custom board, and it's always like, God, just chill with the width. Let's just make a fast board, and you stand on what you can stand on.
Well, it's not very fast if you're falling in the water.
Yeah, that's right.
I was very impressed. I paddled that at 11 cities, and it felt, I mean, I'm not a fast paddler. It didn't even necessarily feel like, if it was a sprint, like a 200-meter sprint, I don't know if I could have paddled that much faster. It's just that it was so insanely efficient.
Yeah.
I paddled for 5 hours, and I wasn't tired.
Yeah.
And every day at the 11 cities, I always hit the wall after 2 or 3 hours. But this one, I went all the way to the finish. I was even with someone, with one of the guys I always paddle with for the first half, and then I always get dropped.
Yeah, right.
And I went all the way to the end. And it was the first time I'd seen him that year. And he was like, man, you must have been training this year.
Yeah, it made him feel bad.
And I was like, actually, I haven't trained once. It's just a magic board.
Yeah. That's probably a good way to describe it. Like if I train in the mornings, like sometimes I'll paddle with Kelly or Jacko or whoever, and if someone's on a different board, then I'll sprint just the same as I've always sprinted.
Yeah.
The thing with sprinting with the board, if you're sitting on someone's sidewash, it actually is really comfortable because the pintail's just forgiving and the round rails. But once you've sort of sprinted for anything over a minute, I can't sprint for a minute, but you know what I mean? Then you start feeling that glide come back, and, that's when you go from drafting someone to slowly coming into your own. So, yeah, I'm stoked with it. I don't want to talk it up too much because it just sounds silly. I designed it, so
I'll talk it up for you.
Yeah,
buddy.
no, I'm stoked. And the thing with us, we don't have, we don't pay the best pros to paddle, but the guys I've done boards and they've got it around the world. There's a couple of guys that just send me the odd messages, and yeah, they're just frothing. So it's good just for punters, weekend warriors that put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah,
and aren't afraid just to buy a board. Just they're just loving it.
Where can we go? What's next in a race board design? Because we've all been so obsessed with foiling. Is anyone in this sport doing R&D on race boards anymore?
Oh, to be honest, we're pushing hard, and I mean, Jacko and Angie are super passionate, probably more so than anyone else, and I mean, we're still pushing hard, and they encourage me to always be working on. So I'm already working on the next version of that.
Really? Can you tell us any secret little?
Nah, not really.
Come on,
not yet.
Well,
not yet.
In general, where can we go with raceboard design? Because you can't just keep going narrower.
No, that's definitely one thing we're not doing. We're looking for faster shapes, not huge deep concaves that just slow the board down no matter how skinny you go. And also, even paddling like on anything under 21 for me, your feet become too close together. So even if the board's stable, I don't think it's nice for your hips and back, for your legs to be, it's just weird. Like I've tried it on some super skinny boards, and the board is stable enough, but it's something going on where your hips don't like. It's like if you stand with your feet together and you try to paddle. Yeah, something doesn't feel right. Yeah, I guess if you're like, I don't know, if you're having a fight with someone or something, you spread your legs and get a nice balanced stance. You don't walk up with your feet together and those UFC fighters, they've always got their legs spread. Yeah.
Nice comment.
Yeah.
What's next?
Don't cut that.
We'll edit that out. That didn't make it in.
No, don't cut it so it only says they got their legs spread. Could be. So next in race, I mean, construction's a big thing for us. We're always working on the construction. Mm-hmm. Like I think there's always a little bit to
Are you allowed to talk about kinetic?
Well, that's where our boards are built.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
because you guys, it's famous for basically having the best quality.
Yeah, they seem pretty famous, and they work hard at it, and they're similar. They work really well with us because they're passionate about always moving forward and trying new things, and as long as we push it, then they're pretty happy.
So how are the hollow boards made? Because you guys have got
I can't tell you that. I can tell you they're hollow. They've got no foam. So environmentally, that's a bonus too. I saw someone just talking about environment the other day with a foam board. I thought, hollow boards are less foam in them. So
all right, less of a carbon footprint. There's air inside them, and that's all you can tell us. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
What's the performance difference? Okay, forget the secret sauce of how they're made. How does it perform on the water? What's the benefit of a hollow board?
They're stiffer. They're lighter.
How are they stiffer if there's nothing in the middle?
Well, I'm not telling you what's in the middle. You just have to take my word for it. They do have PVC stringers. But I mean, there's like if you look at an OC1.
Yeah, they've always been hollow, right?
They've always been hollow. I think that, I don't know, I don't really paddle them.
Surf skis are always hollow?
Yeah.
And why has it taken so long to get good hollow boards?
It's that surfer mindset maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I know, my brother built himself one just because we couldn't get him to build. And I was lucky again. The guys at One are super keen on pushing that stuff. So we managed to make it happen and sell them. But, I don't know. What else do you want me to say about that?
Well, I don't think you can say
what's better about it? That's right. Yeah, so they're stiffer. There's less weight in the ends. So if you look at a downwind board, a typical SUP downwind board, it's got a lot of foam in front of your feet. So as far as if you want to maneuver that board, if you got less weight at the front, it's like a short board, A short board is going to turn a lot easier. So that's a benefit. You really notice it when you're going into bumps. They're super forgiving. It's pretty substantial. Yeah. Like for sure I would say it's over, like if you're downwinding a foam board, then you jump on it would be a couple of %. Yeah. So to me, that's substantial.
Do you chat much with your brother?
All the time.
I mean,
he's my brother. We never speak. We hate each other.
It's good good that you're close with your brother.
Yeah, no, we talk all the time.
You talk about design because he's the designer of Sonova. You're the designer of One.
Not a lot, really. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on in both of our lives. Most of the time when I call him, I'm on FaceTime with my kids and they're playing. There's weird games you can play, when you FaceTime someone. You get like a unicorn picture on your face and you can catch donuts. So he's pretty good at taking a dive for the kids, so he lets them win. So he's all right. But design-wise, pretty briefly every now and then. Yeah. But more so, we just talk about, you've been on the water, you've been downwinding.
You still enjoy it, downwinding on a regular board?
Yeah, I actually did one the other day. For the first time, we've been running a virtual Mick from one of the guys in the creek here. He's been running a virtual, what do you call it? Virtual race series, I guess.
Yeah.
So you just go out, you do the course that he sets, and then you log it. So he set it downwind. I thought, I could foil it, but it's kind of stupid. Like, there's no point entering it. So yeah, I did that on a 14, and it was kind of fun. There's a few little bumps, and first K was a little wobbly, and then it was all good.
Did you start pumping halfway through?
Yeah, that. Yeah, the first K, I was like, "What's going on? Why are my legs facing forwards?" Yeah, but yeah, no, it was good fun, and it was good. But yeah, I've actually been back on a race board a little bit lately,
Yeah.
just to even out the body. You know, you're always foiling on one side.
Yeah.
Just to go straight.
I have not paddled on my right hand side for about 3
because you're
months.
goofy.
Yeah. I can't.
Notice that left lat
Oh yeah.
bumping into the desk.
Yeah. But it's am I blurring? It's true. We only paddle on one side when we're foiling.
Yeah.
I try and paddle on my right. I can't even do it. It just feels like I'm paddling behind me or something.
Well, generally in the surf, I just paddle out prone just to do something different.
Yeah.
And then I just sit there, try not to paddle around too much because, it's so one-sided. So downwind, obviously just paddle on one side. It'd be kind of cool to go goofy and natural downwind just to switch it up.
Can you
a bit.
do switch foot?
Never tried. I doubt it. That'd be scary.
Well, you can do everything else in the ocean. You can sail, you can surf, you can foil, you can downwind.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm that keen on trying switch foot downwinding.
Yeah.
Leave that to the kids.
What happens when you crash on a downwinder? Have you ever gone over the handlebars?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, plenty of times. We had we actually did a run before King of the Cut. Last year. And it was like, must have been 30 knots, and we were out. I was with my brother. Timmy Cyprian was out there on his foil. He's a freak. You can just do everything. Jacko and I think Jimmy. And it was pretty much just a survival. Like, we all crashed 2 or 3 times because it was just super windy, and every bump had like 3 steps in it. You know? So you're going down a bump and you're over a step. So you're constantly just skimming the board just so you don't breach. Yeah, there was a lot of big crashes.
I remember when foiling started, everyone thought it was the most dangerous thing. Like, we're all going to get our heads chopped off because it was these sharp samurai swords underwater.
Yeah.
I mean, they hurt like hell if you hit it, but I haven't really seen many injuries lately.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Touch wood.
Yeah. Touch some carbon.
There's a bit of wood in there. I haven't hurt myself on a foil, but Bo split his head open.
Oh, nice.
Curry, a local guy, he nearly cut himself in half.
Yeah, so people are still hurting themselves.
It's been a while, I think. But Bo's, he's a loose cannon. He'll take on any of them. Hope he listens to this.
How do you get into foiling? If someone's listening, before we wrap up here, I know it's Saturday night, and I appreciate your time.
It's a wild Saturday night for us. It's about as big as it gets at the moment.
This is big. We work hard and play hard down at the One Studios. Where's my screen? Here we go. This video here. For me, this was like the easiest way to learn. Was this little wave inside the mouth of the river at Tweed. This was so much fun. Yeah. But how would you recommend someone get into foiling? What's the easiest way? Behind a boat? Waves? Definitely not downwinding.
No, not downwind. I learned on a sup. There's lots of guys that learn on prones. If you're not really a surfer, probably behind a boat.
Yeah.
That's probably, if you've got access to that. The beauty of learning on a sup, you just paddle out and you can paddle onto most bumps.
Is supping easier than proning?
Not foiling? Easier. It's different. It's like anything, it depends how well you want to do it. Everything's hard when you want to do it well. But
if you're a first timer, would you recommend someone start sup foiling or prone foiling?
If you sup, I'd say sup would be fine. I remember that. I remember going on the boat. If you already sup, surf especially, then maybe the sup's easier just because you'll catch more waves and you'll get more time on the foil, which is how you learn.
Yeah.
But if you're, like I'm sure if Kelly Slater goes out on a prone foil, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So if you can surf pretty well, you pop up like you're on a surfboard. It's just a matter of figuring out that balance, like that front foot, back foot pressure. And
mate, how are your legs feeling here? You're still going in this?
Yeah, it's not like me to be doing that.
Are your quads just burning there?
Must have been showing off for someone. Probably chicken legs. Yeah.
Well, Benny, we might wrap it up there, mate, because it
Cool.
actually is Saturday night and it's 8 p.m. You got a family to get back to.
Yeah, they'll be asleep. Good times.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for chatting with us.
No worries, Chris.
I
Thank
appreciate it.
All
And
good.
I'll probably see you at work tomorrow.
you. Yep. In an hour.
All right. Cheers, man.
Yo.